Hey everyone, thanks for checking out another video on the RSX. It is finally time to dyno tune this thing. I know it's been a long time in the making. This has been over a year and a half in the making to do this. So today is finally the day we see how much power this thing makes. But before we get into any of that, for anyone that's new, this is my 2006 Acura RSX Type S. About 2 years ago, I decided to do a K24 swap, so I swapped in an 06 Acura TSX engine into it. And then shortly after that, I decided I wanted to convert it to all-wheel drive because basically that's what everyone's doing now in the Honda game, is converting cars to all-wheel drive. So I decided to do that, and we've been working away extremely slowly on it. I had a lot of projects on the go, but it's finally done. It's finally ready to be dyno tuned, and we are gonna be tuning it today. And like I said, this is an all-wheel drive converted RSX, and I only have a two-wheel drive dyno. It's not clickbait. What is awesome about these all-wheel drive systems, or at least the Honda all-wheel drive systems, is that you can easily convert these things back to just front-wheel drive. The all-wheel drive system on these cars does not care if you disconnect the rear or the center drive shaft and basically disconnect the rear wheels. It doesn't matter. The power distribution doesn't matter to the torque split. Unlike a lot of other brands of all-wheel drive systems, if you were to go and disconnect either end of the drivetrain, the torque split would basically prevent you from sending any power to those wheels. So that's what's really nice about these all-wheel drive systems, at least for me, because I only own a two-wheel drive dyno and I want to tune it without having to rent someone else's all-wheel drive dyno. So I am going to lift the car up. I'm going to disconnect the drive shaft to convert the car into front wheel only mode so I can tune it on this two-wheel drive dyno. Tune the car, and then when we're all said and done, I will just reconnect the center drive shaft and the car will be all-wheel drive again. Super easy, very convenient for me. Why don't I get started setting this thing all up, disconnecting the drive shaft, and then we'll start tuning this thing. All right, with the car up in the air, I can just show you quickly how I've disconnected the drive shaft. I've already done it, but it is super simple. Center drive shaft, we disconnected at the front. There is the transfer case up here, and all you gotta do is disconnect the 4 bolts that hold the drive shaft to the transfer case. I've kind of tucked it out of the way so it won't interfere with anything. It's not gonna hit because basically what's gonna happen is this is gonna keep spinning, but it's not gonna engage the center drive shaft, so the rear wheels won't start spinning, and it's got plenty of clearance. It's well out of the way. The only issue is I still have to drive the car forward onto the dyno, so it kind of has to be tucked out of the way because the drive shaft is gonna spin a little bit while I'm moving the car forward onto the dyno, but it should be okay. Also, I wasn't able to get my fancy exhaust hangers in time, so I've used this more standard style, and it will do the job. And eventually I might try to switch out to the one I really wanted, which is a super nice piece. So that's it for disconnecting the center drive shaft. Now the car is effectively just front wheel drive, and I can pull the car forward onto the dyno and we will tune it. So let's take care of that. All right, I think we are all set and ready to go. I've got the car strapped down, fans are all set up, I brought the car up to temperature, but before we get into the tuning, I thought I would do a quick overview of the setup for anyone that's new, but I do have a full playlist on this car with all the details. So if you're interested in all the specifics of this setup, by all means, please check out the playlist and let me know what you think. So Acura TSX K24 engine swap. It does have a 2003 CRV transmission, but I did change all the guts from the transmission. It has a 9th gen Civic Si gear set, so it's a 6-speed transmission. Turbo setup is a custom turbo setup that I kind of pieced together. It has a PLM Sidewinder turbo manifold, custom 3-inch downpipe into a custom 3-inch exhaust that terminates in a Vibrant Stealth 3-inch muffler. The turbo itself is the infamous Boosted Boys style GTX 3582R ball bearing turbo. It's a replica of the Garrett unit. All custom 3-inch charge piping, tile style, blow-off valve, K-tuned, 72mm throttle body, K-tuned fuel rail, K-tuned PTF-8 fuel line. It is still returnless, and it has a AM340 pump in the tank. I'm running a set of 1000cc injectors from my friends over at Performance Fuel Injection. The car is being tuned on pump 91 octane gas. I am using Hondata Kpro for the tuning, and I think that might be about it. So why don't we get this thing up and running, start tuning it, and see how much it makes. The goal is, I believe, if I remember correctly, I put a 10 PSI spring in the Turbo Smart 46mm wastegate. 10 pounds on a Sidewinder turbo manifold usually creeps a bit. I do have a Mac valve connected to the Kpro, so I can up the boost if I want. But I think we're gonna be limited by fuel and the fuel line and the injectors and all that stuff. So we'll see how much power it makes. I'm hoping at least 400 today, but let's see what we can get out of it. So why don't we get started? All right guys, well, so far so good. Unfortunately, I have run into a problem and I'm gonna have to stop the tune for today. I am almost done and I did get some good results, but unfortunately, one of the V-bands is coming loose, and it's the V-band that connects the downpipe to my exhaust system, and it's in a tough spot and I cannot access it while it's on the dyno. So I'm gonna have to take the car off the dyno, unstrap it, pull it back, lift it up, fix that, and then get the car back on the dyno. The issue is I've run out of time for today. Today is ironically my birthday and there's things planned in the evening, and I've run out of time because normally dyno tuning doesn't actually take that long, but when I go and film all this stuff for you guys, it ends up taking twice as long, and I've basically just run out of time. So I'll share with you the results for today, and then I'm gonna revisit this car maybe in a week from now or so, and see if we can get more power out of it. So today, I ended up only running the Wastegate spring pressure, which turns out to be roughly 10 pounds of boost. So it is hitting 10 pounds of boost at 4,000 RPM. And then it does creep to almost 13 pounds at redline. I am running 91 octane pump gas, so I've gone a bit conservative on the ignition timing. And we are at 412 wheel horsepower, 319 foot-pounds of torque. This engine only has the 25-degree VTC cam gear wheel. I wish I had taken the time to put the 50-degree VTC cam gear wheel in it, because we would have made more mid-range power and that would have translated to a bit more peak power up top. But anyways, for now, we're at 412 horsepower, 319 foot-pounds torque at 10 PSI, creeping to, I think it's actually 12.9, right at redline because of the creep. And I don't know, unfortunately I've just run out of time and I can't finish pushing it any further. And actually what I want to do is leave it at this power level, run out this tank of 91 octane gas, because it's 91. We have access to 94. So I kind of want to run out this tank, fill it all the way up with 94, and then retune it and run it as is and see if it makes the same power or whatnot, and then get a bit more aggressive with the tune and see if we can get closer to 450 horse. That would be my ultimate goal. I am at 74% injector duty cycle at this power level. Why don't I show you? I actually have the graph up. All right, so on the screen, I think this is the last run, and in blue, we have boost. So start the run, roughly 2,000 RPM, and at, 4,000 RPM, we have basically 10 pounds of boost, and it creeps. We're at 12.7, 12.9, so 12.9 at redline. And yeah, pretty reasonable, not too aggressive of a tune. But I do want to push it more. I would like to make 450. And I think there's enough fuel left, because you can see in purple, we're only at 74% duty cycle. So I definitely think I could up the boost a bit. I want to put 94 octane pump gas in it, get a bit more aggressive, raise the boost a little bit. Like realistically, it probably needs at most 2 pounds of boost more, maybe 15 total, which seems a bit much for only making this amount of power. But anyways, I think that's about it for today. Well guys, so unfortunately, like I said, the exhaust system is causing me some grief, and I'm not gonna be able to go further or push the car any further today. 412 wheel horsepower, 91 pump gas. It's not a record setting, but it's reasonable, it's respectable. And the goal is at least 450 with this setup. So like I said, change out the fuel and push it for a little bit more. But now that it's done, it's technically tuned at this boost level, and I can take it out on the street and enjoy it a little bit, use up the rest of this fuel, and maybe I'll try to get some driving shots and stuff for you guys. So anyways, stay tuned. I'm not done with this car yet. I'm not happy with this power level. We're gonna continue on. It's just, I gotta sort out this exhaust leak, and so I can finish up this tune. All right guys, teaser. I just couldn't resist. It's my birthday, doesn't matter if I'm late, but I want to take the car out for a quick rip and see what it's like. I think I fixed the exhaust, but now I'm not sure. It still sounds like there's a leak, but doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm gonna test it out. I wanna see what it's like. It's been a year and a half in the making to see what this thing is like on the street. So let's see how it goes. Okay, this thing is fast. That's like half throttle, and it is just pulling like crazy. It pulls, this thing makes basically the same power as my 911, but there's no traction issue, so it just pulls. And it's, I think the car is lighter, so this thing is crazy. It's really good. Well, guys, this thing is awesome. Like, this thing is sick, guys. I've never been in a K-Series turbo setup with like this much power, say 400-ish, that didn't have traction issues. Like my 8th gen does nothing but spin the wheels in first, second, third basically, and let's just try rolling first and second. First, punch it. Still spin. Okay, this thing is awesome. All-wheel drive is definitely the way to go. Alright guys, well hopefully that GoPro footage does this thing justice. At only like basically 400 wheel horsepower, 300 foot-pounds torque, this thing pulls so well. It still spins. First gear spun, top of second spun, but man, does it ever pull. It pulls like no other Honda Turbo K-Series that I've been in, because all of them have had traction issues. You can't use any of the power. I've been in 500 plus horsepower Hondas, and it just does nothing but spin. But this, it's like, it just pulls. So I can't wait to test it out some more, maybe up the boost a little bit, and I don't know, get some good shots to try to emphasize how awesome this all-wheel drive setup is. So anyways, that's it guys. Thanks again for watching. If you liked the video, do me a favor, hit like. If you haven't already, consider subscribing. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye now.